Hello, Leo. What if I told you that 6 sacred numbers are aligning right now, and one of them could unlock the breakthrough you've quietly been preparing for? Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness. This isn't just a horoscope reading, it's a cosmic signal, arriving right on time. If you're here, it's not by accident. Your energy, your presence, your curiosity, everything that brought you to this moment, is part of a divine pattern that's beginning to reveal itself. And yes, it starts with numbers. But not just any numbers, 6 cosmic codes chosen for your sign between May 16th and 18th, vibrating with messages from your field, your higher self, and the universe itself. Over the next few minutes, we'll dive deep into the heart of these 6 numbers, each one carrying its own frequency, its own lesson, and its own invitation. They are not predictions. They're confirmations. You've already been moving toward them through the choices you've made, the habits you've kept, and the quiet resilience that no one saw, but the universe deeply honors. Leo, you are ruled by the sun for a reason. Your path is one of light, courage, and clarity. But even the brightest light sometimes forgets it doesn't need permission to shine. That's what these numbers will remind you of. Not how to chase destiny, but how to recognize that destiny is already orbiting you, waiting for you to claim it with both hands and an open heart. So take a moment now. Breathe. Listen. And when a number crosses your mind, randomly or repeatedly, don't ignore it. Comment it below. Let it echo out into the field as a signal, I'm ready to receive. The universe doesn't miss energy like that. It responds. Often faster than you think. And before we continue, let me say this with deep gratitude from my heart. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the likes, for your comments, for subscribing to this channel and becoming part of the Eternal Mindfulness family. Your energy makes this space possible. Your trust fuels everything we do. And the fact that you're still here, still listening, tells me that something in you has already awakened. So don't leave just yet, Leo. You're going to want to stay with me until the very end of this reading. Because what the universe is revealing between May 16th and 18th isn't just mystical, it's specific. These 6 lucky numbers aren't about guessing the future. They're about empowering you to shape it. We'll explore what they mean, how to use them, and most importantly, how to align your actions with the divine rhythm that's already unfolding beneath your everyday life. From your finances to your health, from your relationships to your soul's mission, there's a reason this message found you now. And if part of you is wondering what you did to attract this, the answer is simple. You showed up. You kept going. You're ready. Let's begin. Sometimes, what looks like a breakthrough from the outside is really the culmination of quiet choices made over time, small alignments, invisible discipline, and moments when you listened inward rather than pushing outward. That's what the energy of number 5 brings into sharp focus. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It pulses through your awareness like a warm current beneath still waters, inviting you to notice that what once felt stuck is now beginning to move. The influence of number 5 is not just about movement, it's about right movement. It's the moment when rest has served its purpose, when patience has gathered enough clarity, and when the natural next step becomes undeniable. In the astrological sky, Mars and the Sun conjoin to activate this momentum. Mars provides the fire, the will, the daring spark. The Sun contributes clarity, identity, and purpose. Together, they don't push you blindly forward, they shine a light on the path that already exists within you. Your job now is not to rush, but to trust the rhythm that says, "This is the time." In numerology, 5 holds the frequency of freedom, but not the fleeting kind. It's the kind of freedom that is born from understanding your limitations and choosing consciously how to move beyond them. It invites you to explore, not just the world around you, but the spaces inside you where excitement, fear, and anticipation meet. This number doesn't just open doors. It asks you, are you ready to walk through one, even if you don't know what's on the other side? And here's where a deeper kind of wisdom enters. There is a teaching that says, when the moment arises, don't be late to meet it. Even the most radiant flower will wilt if it hesitates too long to bloom. Your past choices have prepared you for this moment, not so that you can leap blindly, but so you can take one grounded step with absolute presence. You've already been practicing the courage to wait. Now you are being asked to practice the courage to begin. When we speak of breakthroughs, we often imagine dramatic shifts, loud victories, or instant results. But in the heart of the awakened mind, a breakthrough is simply the moment you stop resisting what has already begun. That's the invitation of number 5. Not to push, but to move in harmony with what's already alive beneath the surface. The subtle shift in your breath before you speak. The spark of excitement before a decision. The quiet conviction that says, yes, I'm ready now. If you've been feeling the nudge to apply for that new position, to pitch your idea, to speak up about your worth, or to stretch your professional identity into new territory, this is your energetic green light. Not because everything is perfect, but because the momentum has aligned. And when life's current begins to flow with you instead of against you, your job isn't to control it. Your job is to trust the boat you've built through discipline, preparation, and faith. So take a breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Let your posture reflect your readiness, not to fight, but to move with grace. This is not a test. It's a transition. And when you respond to it with clarity, the universe doesn't just open doors. It holds them open long enough for you to pass through with dignity and direction. You don't need to announce this shift to anyone. It will show itself in the way you speak, in the way you decide, and in the way you stop hesitating. Because action, when rooted in awareness, becomes not just effective, but transformational. And number 5, quietly but powerfully, is here to remind you of that. Sometimes the most profound movement forward begins with a pause, not the kind that comes from giving up, but the kind that arises when your soul gently says, wait. Look again. That's the quiet wisdom held within the vibration of number 12. It carries a subtle but powerful message. You are not broken, you are being reoriented. What may have seemed like a delay, a detour, or even a breakdown in recent months, was never punishment. It was preparation. A slow and tender process of unlearning what no longer serves you, and softening your grip on what was never truly yours to carry. Number 12 is formed by the union of 1 and 2, individual identity meeting emotional awareness. Together, they birth the number 3, a symbol of creative renewal. But this creativity isn't about doing more. It's about discovering what can bloom when you finally stop forcing, and instead, let life reveal itself to you. This number invites a turning inward. A willingness to sit in silence, to feel the full weight of what's been lost, and to begin listening for something deeper than clarity, acceptance. The energy of Neptune and the moon echoes throughout this number. Neptune blurs the boundaries between what is and what could be, asking you to surrender to what cannot be controlled. The moon, on the other hand, illuminates what lies beneath the surface, your emotions, your inner tides, your memories. Combined, they lead you to healing, not by solving, but by seeing. Not by fixing, but by feeling. They draw you into that sacred place where transformation is no longer about striving to become, but about remembering who you've always been beneath the noise. Like the figure in the Hanged Man tarot card, you are being asked to shift perspective, not by force, but by stillness. To see your struggle from above, not as failure, but as the fertile soil of your next season. In the same way a tree does not resist the shedding of its leaves, you are being called to release what once defined you. What once hurt you. What once kept you small. The beauty of this stage is that nothing needs to be added. Only released. Only blessed and let go. There is a quiet teaching that says, when the mind stops chasing, the truth appears. Just as muddy water clears itself when left undisturbed, your inner knowing begins to shine the moment you stop stirring up the past and trying to control what hasn't happened yet. Number 12 is the space where insight comes not through analysis, but through presence. It's the part of the journey where your willingness to be with what is becomes the opening to what can be. So if you've been feeling lost, disoriented, or unsure of who you are becoming, know that this is part of the path. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are simply in a chapter where the story is being rewritten from within. Allow yourself to rest, to breathe, to feel, even the feelings that have no name. Write yourself a letter from the past, or to the future. Take a walk without a destination. Sit by water and let it reflect what you don't yet have words for. These are not small acts. They are acts of realignment, of remembrance, of return. And when you're ready, gently bring your attention to the number 12. Let it remind you that healing isn't something you chase. It's something that arrives when you finally stop running. You are not here to escape pain. You are here to transform it into wisdom, into strength, into light. There comes a moment when the seeking softens, not because you've given up, but because something within you has shifted. The air feels clearer, the noise less urgent, and a quiet knowing begins to rise from beneath all the questions. That's the space number 21 brings into your field. It doesn't arrive with loud declarations or dramatic signs. It enters like the stillness after a long storm, not as an ending, but as a return. A return to wholeness. A return to what's always been waiting beneath the effort, the striving, the proving. The combination of Jupiter and Uranus behind this number is not accidental. Jupiter expands awareness and Uranus disrupts stale patterns. Together, they don't just offer external opportunity, they spark recognition. Recognition of how far you've come, how much you've grown, and how deeply the answers you've been seeking have already been present in your life, quietly reflecting back at you through your habits, your responses, and the choices you keep returning to. This is not the beginning of a new quest. It's the moment you realize the treasure was never buried. It was simply unseen. In numerology, 2 and 1 come together to make 3, a number of creative birth, joyful emergence, and expressive freedom. But in the context of 21, this creative power doesn't come from starting over. It comes from integrating what you've already gathered. It's not about erasing the past. It's about recognizing that your past, however imperfect, has already carved out the wisdom needed for your next step. And when that realization lands, action becomes effortless. You no longer chase clarity. You begin to embody it. There's a quiet truth that whispers beneath this number. When you stop clinging to the idea that something is missing, you begin to live from the fullness that's already there. It's the same way a candle doesn't seek light, it simply burns. The same way a river doesn't question its flow, it simply moves. And just like that, you too begin to understand that your value is not tied to how much you achieve, fix, or prove. It is anchored in your ability to return, again and again, to the rhythm that's always been yours. The World card in Tarot echoes this energy beautifully. Completion not as a final chapter, but as a portal. A circle closing not to trap you, but to free you. It's a reminder that you're not late, not lost, not lacking. You are simply at the point where your presence meets your potential, and they recognize each other. That's the real celebration of 21. Not the arrival, but the awareness that you've already arrived. In daily life, this might show up in the smallest ways. Feeling more at ease in your body, noticing synchronicities that affirm your path, or realizing that what used to feel heavy no longer grips you. These aren't coincidences. They are subtle confirmations that your field has stabilized. That your energy is no longer scattered in search, but grounded in presence. So if you've been asking, what's next? This number gently responds, you are. You are what's next. Your clarity. Your alignment. Your joy. They're not on the other side of a goal. They are seated in how you show up, right now. Not waiting to be approved, validated, or certified. Just waiting to be lived. Number 21 is not a command. It's an invitation. To stop running. To stop proving. To look in the mirror and see not what's missing, but what's ready. What's available. What's already whole. And when you start living from that place, life doesn't have to deliver signs. You become the sign. There is a quiet shift that occurs when you stop thinking of money as something to chase, and begin to see it as something that responds to your inner rhythm. That's the essence of number 39. It doesn't speak in amounts or deadlines, it speaks in tone. And the tone it responds to most clearly is alignment. When your thoughts, actions, and beliefs about worth begin to harmonize, something changes in how the material world interacts with you. You start to notice that opportunities come more naturally, that decisions around spending or saving feel less chaotic, and that a sense of stability begins to settle, not just in your bank account, but in your nervous system. The energy behind this number is deeply grounded, a blend of Venus and Earth. Venus brings a softness, a sense of beauty, receptivity, and value that is deeply personal. Earth adds structure, realism, and the reminder that everything sacred must also be sustainable. Together, these forces remind you that wealth is not just about acquisition, it's about the relationship you hold with what supports you. That relationship, like any other, grows strongest through presence, clarity, and respect. Numerologically, 3 and 9 combine into 12, which cycles back to 3, the number of joyful expression and creation. But this creation isn't rushed or forced. It's born from the slow return to a truth that can't be taught, only remembered, that your existence is enough. That what you offer, simply by being who you are, already holds value. In the same way a tree does not ask to be compensated for giving shade, your worth is not conditional. It simply is. The sooner you live from that understanding, the more fluidly support flows into your life. We're often taught to associate financial well-being with pressure, with needing to strive, prove, outperform, and constantly prepare for lack. But the deeper truth is that money, like breath, moves best when you're relaxed. When you're not holding your breath, you receive more oxygen. When you're not holding tight to control, you begin to experience money as a tool, not a threat. Number 39 whispers this gentle truth. When you stop resisting the natural flow of giving and receiving, you open space for grace to do what force never could. The Empress card beautifully reflects this principle. She creates not through domination, but through nurturing, through trust, through an intuitive knowing that what is cultivated with love and care will multiply in its own time. This card doesn't ask you to build an empire overnight. It invites you to tend to what's already growing in your garden. Your skills, your instincts, your discipline, these are all currencies. And when you value them, the world does too. There is a teaching that says, true wealth is found not in what you hold, but in how lightly you hold it. When you loosen your grip, when you stop defining security by possession and begin defining it by peace, you create a field where prosperity can enter without needing to crash through the door. You no longer plead for abundance, you simply prepare a place for it. That's the energy of number 39. Quiet, generous, affirming. It doesn't shout to get your attention. It meets you at the level you're willing to believe you deserve. So as you move through this moment, consider how you might shift your relationship with money, not through radical overhaul, but through subtle presence. Choose one small act that signals, I trust there is enough. That might be reviewing your budget with curiosity instead of fear. Saying yes to something that supports your joy. Or simply repeating to yourself, support finds me easily. Because the truth is, it already has. You're not chasing wealth anymore. You're remembering how to allow it. Sometimes the most powerful wisdom doesn't arrive through words or logic. It doesn't shout over the noise. It doesn't force its way into your mind like an answer. It simply waits for silence. And once that silence is deep enough, once your breath has finally slowed and the pull to figure everything out has softened, a feeling arises. A knowing. Not one you can explain to anyone, not one you can map out in a plan or defend with data, but one that feels truer than anything you've been told. That is the frequency of number 57. It is the number of inner recognition, a doorway to clarity that has nothing to do with thought, and everything to do with trust. The combination of the moon and Pluto here is profound. The moon opens the portal to your emotional field, your memory, your intuitive sensitivity. It's the way your body tenses before your mind catches up. It's the subtle signals in your environment that pull you toward or away from something, even if you can't explain why. Pluto, on the other hand, deals with depth, radical truth, unconscious patterns, buried transformation. When these two celestial forces meet, we are invited into the space beneath all appearances. A place where our inner guidance is not only valid, it is sacred. The presence of this energy suggests that the answers you seek do not live in more research, more opinions, or more analysis. They are already alive inside you, awaiting permission to rise. Numerologically, 5 plus 7 gives us 12, a number of stillness and observation, much like the Hanged Man. But with 57, the energy of 12 becomes infused with motion. Insight becomes action. Intuition becomes direction. You're no longer just receiving, you're applying. You're embodying. The High Priestess archetype fits here like a glove, not because she controls the future, but because she trusts the present moment so completely that her choices unfold with elegance, precision, and ease. She doesn't predict. She perceives. And then, she aligns. This number often appears when you've already heard the message, but have been too distracted or doubtful to let it lead. Maybe you've had the same thoughts surface multiple times in different ways, through dreams, repeated phrases, unexpected delays, or an ache in your body that seems to pulse whenever you ignore your truth. These are not random. They are your inner world speaking to you. And if 57 is showing up now, it means your field is ready to respond to that truth. It means the waiting has passed. What's needed now is a soft but steady step toward what you already feel is right. In practice, this could mean finally journaling about the thing that keeps returning to your mind. It could mean signing up for the class you've looked at 10 times but never enrolled in. It could mean letting go of the person or plan that no longer fits, not because someone told you to, but because you can feel that it's done. This kind of movement doesn't always come with celebration. Sometimes it's quiet, even lonely. But in that space, something sacred begins to unfold, self-trust. There's a deeper kind of discipline that happens when you start honoring what you know, even when others don't understand. Not to rebel, not to isolate, but to gently return to yourself. To create from a place that doesn't seek approval, but peace. That's the maturity of number 57. It doesn't rush you forward. It invites you to stop asking for permission to feel what you feel, and to begin letting that feeling guide your way. It suggests that you don't need more advice, you need more listening. More space. More gentleness in how you follow the subtle current of your own knowing. There is a quiet teaching that says, when the mind becomes still, wisdom appears on its own. Just like a muddy pond clears when left undisturbed, your direction becomes visible when you stop trying so hard to see it. You don't have to force clarity. You simply have to create enough stillness for it to rise. This is the energy number 57 brings, not lightning bolts, but moonlight. Not answers, but recognition. Not force, but flow. So if you've been caught in loops of indecision, if you've been waiting for the right moment to choose what you already know is right for you, consider this your sign. Let it be soft. Let it be sure. Let it be yours. Because once you move in the direction your intuition is pointing, you'll begin to realize, it wasn't about the choice itself, it was about remembering that you were always allowed to choose it. If you're still here, still breathing with me through this final moment, then maybe your field has already opened in a way you didn't expect. Maybe something you didn't plan to shift, already has. And if that's true, then everything we've just explored together, the 6 sacred numbers, the cosmic alignments, the quiet call to rise into who you already are, wasn't meant to give you permission. It was meant to remind you, you've never needed it. You are not waiting for magic. You are the frequency that creates it. Leo, your energy is solar, radiant by nature, but the kind of transformation you're stepping into now is not about external light. It's about what glows even when no one is looking. These numbers didn't arrive to impress you. They came to reflect you. The calm you've cultivated. The boundaries you've redefined. The courage it takes to return to your own rhythm again and again, even when no one claps for it. So let's not just let this video be something you watched. Let it become something you practice. What if today, instead of reaching for something new, you paused and asked, which of these numbers am I already living? Which message landed in the center of my chest like it had been waiting there? And what one small, soul-honoring action can I take right now to align with it, without overthinking, without seeking proof, without waiting for the perfect time? You don't need another sign, Leo. You are the sign. And your ability to move with intention, whether in your finances, your relationships, your healing, or your growth, is no longer a maybe. It's already happening. The question now is, will you acknowledge it? Will you let yourself receive what's been circling your field, waiting for your readiness to match its arrival? If even one sentence today felt like truth, comment the number that resonated with you most. That number isn't just data, it's a declaration. It's a symbol of where your energy has already landed. Share it below, and let the universe hear you say, I am ready. If this message touched something in you, I invite you to like the video, not for the algorithm, but as an offering of resonance, a way of saying, this met me where I am. And share it with someone who might need a reminder that their energy matters too. Because the more we uplift one another, the more we restore the collective rhythm we've all forgotten how to trust. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Not just to follow a channel, but to become part of a space that honors your unfolding. A space that isn't here to predict your future, but to empower your present. Because eternal mindfulness isn't just a name, it's an invitation to live with sacred awareness, again and again. So I'll leave you with this. You are not chasing clarity. You are becoming it. You are not hoping for alignment. You are remembering that it's been there all along. And when you say yes to that kind of remembering, life doesn't just shift. It harmonizes. Quietly. Powerfully. In your timing. In your tone. Thank you for being here. Truly. Your presence means more than you know.